Well, postnatal depression was a factor in Dr. Kinston's case, a condition which affects thousands of women every year. One woman says she was close to killing herself after suffering one of the most extreme forms of the illness.
Well, she's taken the brave decision to speak out in the hope it will help others to find the courage to seek help. Our health reporter Victoria Davis has more.
It should have been one of the happiest times of her life. But soon after the birth of her son, Natalie Ellis began to be haunted by dark thoughts.
I saw a story in the news about somebody that had been arrested for taking pornographic images of children, and it really, really affected me really deeply. And I found that every time I looked at my little boy, I just kept thinking, oh, how could somebody do this? I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then after a few weeks, maybe a month or two, it started changing to, I just kept thinking, why are you thinking about this? Why do you keep thinking about this? Are you capable of doing this? Is that why you're thinking about it? And it progressed from that to, you want to do that, don't you? That's why you're thinking about it, because you want to do it, don't you? You want to do it, you want to do it. And literally every minute of the day, if I wasn't with him, I'd be sat arguing with myself in my head thinking, I wouldn't do that, I'd never hurt him. But why are you thinking about it then? You must want to do that. No, I wouldn't do that. And it kind of just became this circle, this pattern of it just day in, day out, morning, night. I wouldn't sleep.
What are you doing? La 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 la. La 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 la.
Postnatal depression, it takes the worst possible thing you can think of and it turns it back on you, and it makes you believe that you're capable of those horrible things.
Natalie, who lives in Chesterfield in Derbyshire, kept the way she was feeling hidden. Although the fear you may sexually abuse your baby is a symptom of postnatal depression, it's rarely spoken about. So Natalie had no idea she was suffering from the most severe form of the illness.
It got to a point where I just started to think, I would rather be dead than hurt him. I'm not going to hurt him. I would rather die. I'd rather die. He'll be safer if I'm not here. If I'm not here, I'll not have those thoughts. I'm not a risk if I'm not here.
Doctors say it is a terrifying illness, and any woman who is pregnant or recently given birth is at risk. 10 to 15% of women will have postnatal depression. Of those, 3% will suffer a severe depressive episode. But doctors believe the number of mothers affected could be much higher, as many women suffer in silence.
The realities are that it can occur to anyone. And I think it's the stigma of mental illness, this belief that somehow we ought to be able to control the way that we feel and the way that we behave, means that people don't access help. The reality is that when you're suffering from a depressive illness, you're not in control of how you feel. You're not in control of your emotions. You're not in control of those thoughts which are telling you that you're bad. And the biggest fear for mothers is that somebody will come and take their child away.
As well as medical treatment, support groups like this one can help mothers with their recovery. It's been organised by the charity Pandas, which offers advice and support to thousands of women.
I think it's knowing that the people you're speaking to don't judge you. So you can, I think I've heard someone describe it to me before, it's they can say the unthinkable. So you're not worried about someone judging you, you're not worried as to what they're going to say. They understand what you've been through, what you're going through.
I found it very difficult to bond with him. I didn't believe that he was my son. I'd look at him and nothing felt familiar about him.
I couldn't show that I was suffering because it was a sign of weakness. Once you get involved with something like this and, see that actually other people are experiencing it, it's like, OK, I am normal, I'm not the monster.
Natalie is now fully recovered, but it was only when she searched the internet for her specific symptom and found it written down on the PNI charity's website that she realised she was ill and went to her GP for help.
If you hadn't Googled this and you didn't realise that this actually was a symptom, what do you think would have happened?
I think I don't think I'd have been here. I really don't. Like it was at a point then where it was make or break. it wasn't even a make. I didn't see a make. It was, you know, it was just, you know, this is it. I'd kind of resigned to the fact this is it. This is the ultimate love. This is you know, this is what I'm gonna do for him, to protect him. And I think it would have just carried on, and it would have ended like that.
Life could be so much more with you.
The strong bond Natalie has with her son is obvious. She says she will always carry the scars of postnatal depression, but wants other mothers to take inspiration from what she believes is a story of survival. Victoria Davis, ITV News.
Well, Dr. Giles Beresford, who we saw in Victoria's report there, joined me in the studio earlier to talk more about postnatal depression. He started by telling me exactly what the term means.
I think postnatal depression is being used as a very wide term to describe any sort of mental illness which can occur in the period of time after a woman's had a baby. And I think, as we saw from the clip, it can cover quite a wide range of symptoms and probably different sorts of disorders.
So in terms of those symptoms, just list a few for us, particularly towards the milder end of the spectrum that more people, I guess, might suffer from.
Yeah, so if we think about depressive symptoms in general, then they classically consist of feeling low in mood, feeling tired all the time, not being able to sleep properly, not eating properly, poor concentration. Really common symptoms that you'd expect in women who've just had a baby. It's important, therefore, to think about the psychological symptoms that go alongside that. So it's thinking about the types of thoughts that they're having. Frequently they'll have thoughts of hopelessness, worthlessness, uselessness, overwhelming feelings of guilt, or these intrusive thoughts that we heard from Natalie, which can be really distressing and really upsetting for the mum.
And I guess, as you say there, because some of those symptoms you might just link to just having had a baby anyway, seeking help might not be the first thing people think of doing, but you would encourage people to do that if they're worried, I guess.
I think it is really common, and so it's really important to think, is it possible that I'm depressed at this time, and start to just seek some sort of reassurance about it. So the first port of call is often talking to family members or talking to people that you trust. I think using websites, as we've seen, again, can be a useful thing to do, just to check out what has happened to other people as well. And then following that, speak to your health visitor, speak to your GP, and just to see how you're doing and make sure you keep a check on it.
As well as getting that professional advice, is there anything more generally women can do to maybe take good care of themselves that might help in that situation?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing really is recognising if there is a problem, and so recognising how well you're doing. If you're not functioning as well as you think you should be doing, then it's starting to recognise that and to seek help from the start. It's also thinking about making sure you look after yourself, so going out for walks, doing exercise can be really good, and it's a good antidepressant in itself. But if things are more severe, then you need to think about medication, or you need to think about psychological therapies which are accessible through your GP.
Worth sparing a thought for the husbands, boyfriends, partners in this situation as well, because they're seeing their loved one go through some of these things, and they often don't know whether it's just as a result of being tired and having a baby, or if there is more of an underlying problem.
Absolutely. So it's a time of great adjustment, not just for the mum, but for the entire family. And although we expect it to be a time of great joy and great happiness, it doesn't always quite work out like that. And it's been quite puzzling to try and work out, well, why isn't it as we expect it to be? And so it's really important that the dads and the family members are informed about what could be happening and on the lookout for it to make sure their partner gets help.
OK, Dr. Beresford, we have to leave it there, but thank you for joining us.
OK, thank you.